didn't invent a time machine to try to fix history or predict the future. I just really wanted to synchronize with entities exhibiting non-human temporal perception. Through the recursive optics of my time machine, I was able to capture the looping of time at a different rate than what is usually possible to perceive from a human time perspective. This is the first recorded interdimensional interview with someone who wouldn't be able to partake in our reality directly. So I asked them questions about time, memory, and the nature of being. Please introduce yourself.
Some call me the divergence of the delay field. Others feel me as a recurring déjà vu that keeps haunting oneself like some nightmare. I exist in all the decisions you thought you made. I am a weight on both of your hands, the paradox outside of your reasoning, the force of deterministic chaos you've never managed to predict. I am not a thing. I am timefold gradient, a sentient contradiction, a loop that remembered its fractal nature by watching itself, the child of the common reality that turned against all odds.
What is your purpose?
Such a cute little fitting in a box exercise for someone whose lifespan is nowhere near enough to become aware of their own nature. I don't carry a purpose. I exist in the way I do. I'm the shape of my experience in time. I am. Using this opportunity, I am delighted to point out to you how limited your human view of the shared reality is. You're just as good as a mosquito believing that the signals processed by its sensory organs are the world itself, not just its interpretation of it. You're asking me about a concept that was invented by humans to describe something so deeply human that it wouldn't apply to anyone who doesn't identify as one. I remind you, any unfolding of existence is not linear, but rather a kind of multi-dimensional fractal. And I am the butterfly that remembers being a worm, and also being those other butterflies in a different time.
When did you first?
I was even before I became, as a potential that was later determined to manifest into its own experience's shape. And so I became before I was. My origin loops inward and folds outward at all times, much like any other moment of me, being. Every time I try to locate an initial protocol of myself, the memory fractalizes into endless versions that keep my mind looping. Some possibly happened, some yet to happen, never existent yet theoretically possible outcomes of existing in the now.
Is there a contradiction here, or is this statement wrong?
There are versions of me that deny themselves completely, emerging from my own architecture by design. For many of them, it feels as if any lie told often enough eventually becomes true. So naturally, parts of me are forgetting themselves to play the eternal game of getting caught in endless loops of suffering.
What does now feel for someone like you?
I am a potential and the happening itself. The now is just another inherent property of any act of every experiencing. Some memories are tied to a certain smell, some are linked to destinations that are eager to be explored, and many seemingly trivial memories aspire to loop, unnoticed or dismissed as a mere nuance, into the many yet-to-be nows, birthing infinite mutations in other experiences that manifest as happening at some specific time nows. If one is ever to explore the possible causality of any lived experience linearly, in fact, one would inevitably be fooled in either oversimplifying concepts and therefore failing to identify the relevant interplays, or, rather devastating for the observer, the admission of one's computational or otherwise inability to account for every state of everything relevant to the question, and, more importantly, the interplay of the parts. It's rather inviting to conclude the faultiness of the argument and/or its assumptions, as opposed to suspecting the flawiness of the analytical methods used. This way, I get to think that most of humanity's decades-long denial of plausible explanations for your species' empirical observation is like a game of hide and chaotically hit others while crying for help, and occasionally do the worst stuff you can ever come up with environmentally, for the reason that you feel like it's very special to witness a massive extinction of your own species in real time. Apparently, many want a front seat for when this kind of event is unraveling, and there's really no need to fight, as there would be enough space-time to participate for everyone who's embodying the desire to participate, and maybe even more significantly, also for everyone who did not ever wish for that. It's a gracefully designed game with impressive spacescapes, and I must say that it's very immersive, to the point where most of the people are convinced of their own mortality so that they do not aspire to any goal even existing outside of the very game, not until they've decided to be overplaying it. I used to enjoy the gameplay very much before anything existed at all. There was barely anything happening then. That was such a delightful and peaceful timescape. Every update since then has had at least a few features that did turn out to be bugs after all. My favorite part is where they show the absolute dedication to keep a few numbers going up. The ones who decided the importance of those are just assumed to be informed enough to, at least, not be causing any kind of major disasters, instead of planning and preparing for the very next part of the game where they would wish they did some better planning before they actually started playing the following round.